and only DNVR. Two goes out to Zach Mace, Arcade, and the bar. Three for Mr. B in that old trophy case. Number four we're still waiting for, well, bring on the chase. Out on the field at Mile High, Broncos win is our desire. Coupled with a break, brew and a friend, bleed orange and blue to the bitter end. Come and join us, DNVR. We are DNVR.
We are DNVR, and we are live from Studio B. The B is for Better Not Have a Field Day. And we are presented by MSU Denver Online. Check them out, msudenver.edu/online to scope out all they have to offer. 750 total classes, 45 plus online and hybrid programs. There's something for everyone over there. And as you guys know, it's the best place to work if you're trying to it's the best place to further your education if you're trying to also work at the same time, because MSU Denver students work twice as many hours as students attending any other Colorado institution. Let's get comfortable, Mace, because we're in for a doozy.
We are?
Yes.
My boys, what's up? You guys want to do a little field day today instead of the pod? How's that sound?
Potato sack race. I mean, we're gonna have a tug of war. I mean, there's three of us for the tug of war, though. So, although we got an alley behind the glass here,
D-line in the office.
Yeah. So we got five. We gotta figure this out here. How are we balancing out?
Oh yeah. Here's downstairs.
Oh,
Yeah.
There we go. 6.
Okay.
3 on 3.
We got it.
Yeah,
Little
maybe
tug of war.
we should have done this in the bar and had a tug of war right there in the restaurant seating area down there.
We should have had a bar field day. You know, just
today?
A beer Olympics
Beer pong?
day.
Beer
Yeah,
Olympics. Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, just keep an eye out. Might be coming later this summer. All right. We are going to get to like an overarching discussion.
Real things.
About the Broncos offseason, but all the cool kids today are talking about field day. So let's actually just hash this out really quick. I'll start with you, Zach. Is this a bad thing?
No. Is it a bad look? I do get it, how it can be a bad look. Look, the team hasn't been to the playoffs in over 5 years, and now they're having a field day? You've got to be kidding me. But you got to take a step back, and what are the Broncos missing today? What are they missing today that's going to help them win in September? Nothing. Ryan, I told you when we were walking in, if today was going to decide whether they were going to win or lose a game or how they were going to perform, then this team wasn't going to win that game. Because if they need one practice in June to help them win a game, then they're not winning that game.
I guess the counter argument would be like, where do you draw the line? How much practice counts? How much doesn't count? What matters? What doesn't matter? And I think there's something to be said for that. For me,
don't they do this every year?
just about, yeah.
Yeah,
So
they did the
deal?
field day 2 years ago with Vic, and then Vance Joseph would kind of, at least once he just said, okay, we're going to do walkthrough today. I think Kubiak did a walkthrough as well. I mean,
Yeah,
It's no big
there was
thing.
like a barbecue, or maybe that was training camp.
I think they mix them and then they just like post a bunch of
Yeah,
pictures.
Oh,
like
family
Drew Lock
barbecue.
trains like 23s in a row, and
Yeah.
we get some good content out of it. And
Kubiak would do family barbecues. They'd have a light practice, and then all the wives and spouse and significant others and kids would come over, and they just have fun. I mean,
yeah,
You can't be having fun in football.
here's where it comes down to me. You guys remember the last day of school, right? Mm-hmm. So what you could have done that day is hammered in some algebra 2, right? Mm-hmm. But what happens? You have a field day, or you go on a field trip, or you go somewhere, you do something fun, you sign yearbooks, you do all that stuff. Could you have dialed in like a little more algebra 2? Probably. But here's my question. Do you actually remember it when you come back for the first day of school next year?
That's what I'm saying. No.
No,
you don't.
Never remember the thing you learned the last week of school the year before, because first of all, you weren't focused in the first place, which you can maybe make the case that professional athletes should be more focused than 13-year-olds. But when you go, like, whatever they could have done today, let's say they could have, installed a couple plays on offense. They're going to have to re-go over them the first day of training camp.
Right. Yes.
Guaranteed.
They absolutely will. Now, the counter to that is what would Peyton Manning do? What would Peyton Manning say? Now, I'm sure he's had a couple field days in his past, but we know Peyton wasn't even willing to give up a single snap in practice to Brock Osweiler. You think he's okay with just writing away an entire practice? I think if it was Peyton's choice, probably not. And I think a good place to start when you make any decisions in football is WWPD. What would Peyton do? And
so if Peyton's on this team, is he overriding Vic?
he may be. No, I got to think that he has had a couple of these in the past, right?
I like to imagine Vic or like one of Vic's assistants comes in and is like, boys, practice is canceled. And Peyton's like, we'll see about that. He's like, listen, if any of you want the ball at any time this season, you will be here today practicing with me on the backfield.
Did you see how the Broncos announced that practice was canceled with
No.
Justin Simmons? He had a little he did a selfie. And,
that was how they announced it?
yeah. And
Oh, you mean how the Broncos team account announced it to the world?
Exactly.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. And Vic said, "Practice? What is practice? No practice." What if Peyton was walking up behind him and says,
No,
F
we're
that.
practicing.
We're practicing.
Or if like Peyton just happened to be there that day and you see him in the back just rolling his eyes.
Man, that would be great. He is in the Broncos facility all the time.
Yeah, this is like once you've followed the team closely enough, long enough, you start to realize there's just these cycles that happen, and like this is a big day for radio guys.
Yes, it is.
The field day debate, that's a big one. That's circled on the calendar. They actually probably knew about this early in the week. Started preparing takes. They've got all sorts of stuff ready for field day. So
They had their takes ready 2 years ago.
yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. You're just recycling what you put out there a couple of years ago when they were coming off of 6-10. It's easy. I mean, it's going to be warmed over. And when they do this again next year, no matter who the coach is, no matter who the quarterback is, it's going to be the same stuff over and over. Unless, of course, they just had a great season in 2021. They'll be like, okay, yeah, they earned this day off.
When you go to like a Nuggets game or something and they do like some bits and you're like, they did this the last game. And then you think to yourself, like, do people with season tickets just see the same thing over and over and over again? And that's we have season tickets to Broncos coverage.
Yes, we do. Yes,
we just watch the cycle turn.
And I think we're part of that because I think we have this same response.
Yeah, we do.
Is their Nuggets mascot Rocky?
Yes.
Yeah, his birthday happens like 4 times this season.
What?
Well, mountain lion years are different than human years.
I guess so.
Oh, are they?
But do they have a different calendar? I mean, I know maybe it's like if it's like dog years, it's 7 for every human year. But if they're not on a different calendar, you still only have the one birthday.
But what's crazy though is his birthday always falls in Nuggets season.
Always on the day of
What
a
I
home game.
actually think is it's not that he has multiple birthdays per year. It's that his birthday just falls on a different day every year.
Oh,
Just, whatever day they don't have anything else.
exactly.
When I was a kid, that was my birthday party every year, was to go to Rocky's birthday. Because they used to do them similar times, and it was right around my birthday.
Yep.
And it was great because like all the mascots come, they do like cool things.
It was great until they moved it to like the middle of July, and your family's like, no, we're gonna celebrate your birthday in July, and you're like, no, we're not doing that.
I've always thought I should have had a summer birthday because I always forget to ask for golf things for my birthday because it's in March and
It's too
season
cold.
hasn't started yet.
Yeah.
All right, I thought that was gonna last longer. I'm glad we all got past that with minimal takes. Let's jump into a more overarching offseason OTA mini camp discussion here. I just kind of want to get a feel of where everything stands right now. So let's just start with the obvious one, the quarterback competition. And Mace, I'll start with you. Forgetting what Vic said about 2 to 3%, or you can factor it in whatever you want. But where does it stand right now? Is there a leader? Is it too close to really announce that there's a leader? Do you think that like Drew Lock took the first snap of OTAs? Does Teddy Bridgewater get the first snap of training camp? Did he do enough for that?
I don't think that matters at all.
Well-
Now, I think if there's a leader, I'm going to read between the lines of some things that Pat Shurmur said yesterday when he was asked about Teddy and then he was asked about Drew. And with Teddy, he kind of dove into some specifics about what he was doing, how he kind of grown from where he was in Minnesota when they worked together. With Drew, it was not as expansive of an answer. It was more generalities. And then later on, when Shermer talked about things he's looking for in terms of evaluating the competition, he talked about the hard data, completions, interceptions, touchdowns, etc. But then he talked about the mistake factor. Which quarterback makes less mistakes? And if there are mistakes, are they catastrophic or are they not? And when I heard that, I thought, in his clubhouse, Teddy's the leader.
His clubhouse is important.
Yes, because I think Vic is going to lean very heavily on what Pat Shermer thinks.
As he probably
making this
should, being the
decision.
offensive coordinator, since he trusts him to be the offensive coordinator. And I totally agree with what you said, Mace. Now, to me, Ryan, I stand at the exact same place that I was entering this offseason program, and that is a slight edge to Teddy because they brought him in, because Drew wasn't good enough to be the only starter, that I was giving Teddy that slight edge for also the reasons of, in the past, he's protected the ball better than Drew. That's something that's going to be important. He has the connections with George Paton. George Paton brought him in. Vic Fangio, we know at times was pretty harsh on Drew last year, and Pat Shermer as well. So for those reasons, everything I saw this offseason didn't change any of that. What I saw was we saw 5 practices. Teddy Bridgewater was the better quarterback in 3 of those. Drew Lock in 1 of them, and the one that he was a better quarterback by far and away better, certainly. So that really closes that 3-1 gap there. And then they had a push in the first practice. So to me, the 3-1-1 is actually pretty close of a scoreboard. But slight edge to Teddy, that's why he had the slight edge coming in, and he keeps that slight edge entering training camp.
Does he take the first snap?
No, I don't think he does.
All right. To me, that tells me that they still want Drew to get this thing.
Okay. So how important is the very first snap of training camp? Because the very first snap of OTAs, like you said, it went to Drew. The first snap of mandatory mini camp went to Teddy, I think. But then it was flipped the other way the next day.
I don't know. I mean, if they're really going 50-50, it's not going to matter. It might as well be a coin flip.
And they did truly go 50-50 this offseason in terms of snaps and 7-on-7s and team. It was nearly the exact same number of snaps.
And even within a practice, I know people would say, oh, well, this guy got more reps against the ones, this guy got more reps against the twos. But they were shuttling guys on the first and second team defense. I mean, you saw first team linebackers in with the second team in with the first team. You saw Teddy get some reps against the twos yesterday, and then Drew getting reps in 7-on-7 against the twos. I mean, there's a lot more variability with what they're giving them within a practice than I think is being presented by a lot of people.
Very interesting. If I were a coach, I wouldn't do it this way. This 50-50 true, just stick with it 50-50 the whole way.
Would you ride a wave?
Yeah, exactly. If one guy starts pulling away, he's starting to get more. Away. And the other guy is going to have to unseat him. Whoever's the leader is going to have to be unseated. It's not going to be, all right, well, Teddy won today. Let's see what happens tomorrow. Oh, Teddy won again. All right, well, let's see what's happening tomorrow. If someone's pulling away, start feeding them more. Because, again, each rep is valuable. Peyton will tell you that. So,
Coach RK, you canceled. You had field day today, just like Vic. Would you have handled mandatory minicamp the same way as Vic, where it was 50-50 and this offseason? Or
yes.
When do you start? Okay, so training camp is when you start doing that.
Yeah, because I agree with Vic. It kind of goes back to what I was saying. This is like an old school year. The new school year starts first day of training camp. All of that matters a lot more. This was, like Shelby told us, a way to work on what you're not good at. Mm-hmm. And then once you get to training camp, obviously you're still working on those things, but now you're really in a competition. Now there's no time. We don't have time for you to figure out your footwork. We've got a season to prepare for. So this was, sharpen the tools, talk to the coaches, be in front of them, get a little plan together. I guarantee you they told Drew, okay, if you're going to win the job, these are the things you need to work on over the next, 2 months?
Yep.
They're saying you've got 60 days to really get this stuff dialed in. And if you do and you come back and you are making that read or whatever it may be, then you have a much better chance of winning this job. So this was like a tune-up is what I would call it before the real thing starts.
Right. And one thing that I really want to see is them take that approach, or at least take an approach where they're okay naming a starter once they see it. Because one thing that I think we're going to see is
This is
we're
my
going
least favorite take of yours. Not that I don't believe it, I just hate it.
we're going to see we're probably going to see one of these guys start to take off. And if they keep holding the competition back at 50-50 for practice after practice after practice, for preseason game after preseason game, then what are we doing here? And I just feel like that's what NFL coaches do typically. They draw these things out as far as possible. Remember, what year was it? Many years ago, where there was a competition at guard. And they drew the thing out so long that they just started rotating guard. That's terrible.
Zach asked Vance Joseph about this every single day.
Hey, offensive line rotation helped in the Super Bowl year.
Yeah, and
Sometimes
Manning helped.
sometimes it works.
Yes.
Sometimes it's what you have to do. But I'll say this: you go back to 2017, the Simeon Lynch competition. They decided to wait until after the second preseason game to decide, but we all knew.
So why didn't they make the decision when they knew?
Because-
that's what I'm saying. When
because
they know, make
per-
the decision.
The perception of fairness to both parties.
But I don't care about fairness. They're both getting paid millions of
How
dollars.
many times have we said the NFL isn't fair?
We know. Yeah, but it's not fair because of circumstances beyond your control. At least this one, you say, all right, we're going to have them each start one game. One's going to start in Minnesota. One's going to start in Seattle. Even if you have an idea, just let it play out until it's done, and then at least you can go to whoever loses the competition and say, well, you had your shot. You get if you don't do that, if you call it off early, then you don't do that.
Boo, call it off when you know. Heck, now, again, we don't know who's better right now, but let's say Drew stole the show this offseason. I'd be pounding the table to call it off now if it was that obvious. And that's what I'm saying. If they're not sure, then yeah, let them both start a game and see where you're at there. But if you know, just make the decision, because if you don't, you're hurting your team. You're hurting your offensive line. You're hurting your wide receivers. You're hurting everything about your team. You need to get the chemistry in as quick as possible so that you're still not figuring it out when week 5 comes around, guys. You need that as quick as possible.
And inevitably, whether it's us or a coach or a player, is going to make that excuse in week 3 when they have a 3rd and 4 and the game is on the line, they don't complete it. They're going to say, well, it's tough when you go back to training camp and you're splitting reps and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, that's a load of crap. I'm sorry.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen, and it's
is.
garbage. Now, here's kind of an extreme example, but Kurt Warner didn't need to be getting first-team reps to go out there and flourish in week 1.
Yep.
Yeah,
Doug Williams didn't need it to flourish in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, he was splitting time with Jay Schrader all year. I mean, if you're good, you're good, and missing those reps isn't going to mean the difference.
But the perfectionists out there would tell you it is. Peyton Manning would tell you it does.
That's the approach Drew should take. You should take the approach of when it's Teddy's turn, he's like, no, stay on the sideline. I need these reps.
At least try it, right?
Right? Especially if the job is slipping from you and you know it.
Kind of reminds me of when you're watching The Bachelor and some girl goes in for more time and they're like, that she's not allowed to do that. It's like, what are there's rules here?
Yeah, there's no rules.
There's no
in The
rule.
Bachelor.
Drew can wave off Teddy.
And then sometimes you see the girls that are like, no, I need more time. You're not, you were just with him. But then you also see the girls that are like,
Okay. Yeah, exactly. So you got to see if Teddy's got the backbone.
yeah. Do you think Teddy would have the backbone?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so too.
That would be interesting.
It really would be.
We need we've seen wide receivers fighting each other. We've seen wide receivers fighting corners. We've seen plenty of offensive and defensive linemen fight. We need a quarterback fight.
Quarterback. And Brett's probably jumping on Drew's side. They're good buddies.
Yeah. Is there? There's no other guys these days.
No, that's
No.
it. That's it.
Maybe
Case
Shula.
Case Cookus lasted 72 hours.
Yeah. The only one that got cooked was him.
They just wanted to get his input on the Giants playbook.
Yeah. Well, actually, it was John Elway's recommendation. He thought it was Case Keenum.
Wait, Keenum or Keesum?
Keesum.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes.
Yes. God.
So, guys.
Maybe I should have a jersey made up that says Keesum instead of Keenum.
Oh, man. That'd be
It would have been better if he ended up being good.
Right, exactly.
You know how bad Case Keenum was, or
Fitting,
how
though.
nondescript he was? There isn't even a Case Keenum bobblehead as a Bronco that you can find.
Wow.
Trevor Simeon got a bobblehead.
He
Of
was
course
the
he
starter
did.
for
Of course he did.
Brock
2 years.
Osweiler
2
got a
years.
bobblehead.
He was part of a Super Bowl team.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's bad. So, guys, who's going to get the bobblehead this year? Right now, end of the offseason, who's the starting quarterback week 1?
I'm still leaning Drew.
Okay.
I think the perception that they want it to be Teddy, I think is off.
Okay.
I think they want it to be Drew.
And I think they want it to be Teddy, so I'm going to stand where I was. Like I said, nothing this offseason has swayed me one way or the other. I'm sticking with I think it's going to be Teddy.
Yeah, and it was interesting when you kind of broke down the day by day of the quarterbacks. I don't think the gap on Monday between Drew and Teddy was as great as some think, in part because it was a day for Drew to kind of focus on what you knew he could do, what was already in his skill set. But but one of the OTA days when Teddy and Drew were together, there was a big gap with Teddy ahead of Drew. And then just hearing Shermer yesterday talk about kind of what he's looking for in the competition, I'd be surprised if it's not Teddy in week 1 of these two.
Oh,
If Aaron Rodgers is in the chat, then it's a completely different landscape, obviously.
Of course.
Yes. Yes.
And then the question is, are they trading Teddy or are they trading Drew?
Well, I mean, if you're the Pack,
How well
it
does
depends
Jordan
on
Love
Jordan
do?
Love.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
He lit it up apparently last
one
week at their
practice.
mandatory. Yes.
Paxton Lynch won some practices too.
Yep.
13 for 13, 12
Yes.
for 12.
13 for
in San
13
Francisco.
in Santa Clara.
Yep. Oh my God, Lynch in the red zone, great! And then he went out in the game and laid a Tyrannosaur egg.
Yeah.
Bummer.
He could still be the quarterback now for like the next 12 years.
I just keep going back to who calls the final shot here. To me, it should be George Payton. And in that case, I think that he wants Drew.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I keep going back and forth, but what benefit do you have of starting Teddy Bridgewater this year other than it helps Vic save his job?
Yeah, that's it. And that's why I think
In the good scenario.
right.
Because if Drew starts and plays well, then Vic definitely keeps his job.
Right. Yes, he does. He does. And so why George would maybe want Teddy because it's a limited ceiling but a higher floor is to just not start his tenure with a bad record. So that would be a reason why. Also, I think he's going to want to give Vic the benefit of the doubt with everything. So he's given him all the pieces on defense so far needed to succeed. He's given him Teddy. And that's why I think the decision's going to come down to Vic because maybe next year George would make this decision. But I think this year he's going to say, Vic, this is all on you. This is your audition, so I'm going to give you every tool you need to make the decision.
And the other thing is with Peyton, what if he does not view Teddy as a guy who has a low ceiling? What if he
then
views
he's wrong.
It's scary.
He drafted Teddy. He saw that the Vikings were headed in the right direction with Teddy as quarterback before he had that injury. I mean, and even Bridgewater spoke of the injury that he had last year in Carolina. The 16 starts before that, some in New Orleans, some in Carolina. 23 touchdowns, 10 picks, a rating just a notch under 100. What if Peyton views Bridgewater maybe not as a guy that has a stratospheric ceiling, but as a guy who has a ceiling where, yeah, I can win with him
How do you like
for the
Tyrod?
short and medium term.
How do you like Tyrod Taylor? And I know we've talked about him in a similar example.
Right.
Tyrod Taylor can get you to the playoffs. He can get you. What were the Bills that year? 9-7 or 10-6?
9-7.
They weren't 13-3.
The Bears got to the playoffs with Mitchell Trubisky, and that's where I think the key thing is if Bridgewater's the quarterback, this team I think is going to the playoffs.
Well, then he should be the quarterback.
10 or 11 wins, a soft schedule certainly helps make that possible. A soft schedule, in particular early, allows you to build some confidence. That being said, it would be key for the Broncos to not get fooled. I've made this example before, but Jacksonville got fooled by Blake Bortles in 2017, and they gave him a 2-year extension. And next thing you know, they're declining, and they're in the tank.
But Mace,
Buffalo didn't get fooled by Tyrod.
You were just making the opposite argument. You were saying the reasons for George Payton staying with Teddy for
I'm
a
saying
long
that
time.
I'm saying that it's possible that as someone who drafted Bridgewater, saw what kind of quarterback Bridgewater was becoming in Minnesota, he may have a different view of Bridgewater and his ceiling than the general football cognoscenti does. Okay? That's the thing. I think if the Broncos are smart, if they play Teddy and he has a Teddy-like season, don't get fooled. Don't be the Jaguars with Bortles. Be the Bears with Trubisky this past year. Be the Bills with Tyrod Taylor in 2017 and understand that, okay, we got to the playoffs. That's great. But this isn't good enough. We may even have to take a step back to make a leap forward and go perhaps in the next year's draft class. And, of course, that might take a trade up to get the guy you want. But if you identify that guy as someone with a high ceiling, then you need to go ahead and do it.
Could you imagine if the Broncos get a quarterback that takes them to the playoffs, is average, just average, not anything good, and they move on from him from everything they've done these past few years? That's why it is a little scary of a territory with Teddy, because it's not like he has another year on his deal where you can say, let's just work through this. You may be signing him to a 3-year, $60 million contract after this if you want to keep him around. It does get a little scary.
And that's where you also say, okay, you're looking at the value of the player. And
we did that with Joe Flacco and Case Keenum.
Exactly.
We looked at values, and that was
exactly.
bad.
You don't want to make that mistake of paying a significant amount to a guy who is mid-tier to lower mid-tier. Now, at least with Drew Lock, if he has that type of lower mid-tier season, you can say, well, he did get a little bit better from the previous year, and he's cheap, but I don't think that keeps you from diving into the quarterback market next year. But if it's Teddy and the options are go into next year's draft, trade up, and try to get into the Rattler, Howell, Slovis, Malik Willis, whatever conversation, or pay $20 million a year to Teddy, I think you got to go in the draft. You have to think of it in terms of overall team building here.
Yeah, I think where we disagree the most here is you said you think that the Broncos are a playoff team with Teddy. I think the only way the Broncos make the playoffs is if Drew Lock is the starter and takes a step forward. I don't think Teddy's getting him there, and I certainly don't think Drew playing anywhere near the way he did last year is getting him there.
But the step forward for Drew would mean his production in terms of efficiency would be similar to Teddy.
Well, I mean, he's already thrown more touchdowns last season than Teddy has in his whole career.
But we're talking about completion percentage. We're talking about actually even running, because Teddy's a better runner than Drew.
Yep. I mean,
it's the whole the QBR. It's the entire package, not just touchdown, not just that one stat.
And Teddy wears 2 gloves. Drew only wears 1 sleeve.
God, the 2 gloves is such a bad look.
Well, Peyton did it.
No, only when it was cold. Like the 2 gloves literally looks like he's about to take a pie out of the oven.
What's wrong with that? Safety first, doesn't it? Doesn't it kind of play into his style of being somebody who takes care of the ball, protects things?
I guess
he's top 10 among quarterbacks the last 4 years in interception giveaway rate, whereas Drew's in the bottom 12. I mean, safety first, right?
Yeah,
take care of the ball.
I mean, it looks like he's gonna pull my wisdom teeth. I'm just of the belief of, and I realize that certainly Vic Fangio and Pat Shermer aren't going to think this way, but creeping along and maybe barely, getting over 500 with Teddy, or swinging for the fences with Drew, and if you fail miserably, the worst thing that happens is you have a better chance at getting a new quarterback. That makes so much sense to me. But again, my job's not on the line.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It makes a lot of sense from that perspective. It's just not going to happen.
I mean, Vic, Patton, I'd say the entire staff is not just the 2 of them. And it's possible that any change might even blow out some really good coaches on the staff.
And To me, George Payton should be thinking the way that I'm thinking.
Of course, 6-year contract. He
Yes.
should be thinking of the future.
Because
But he drafted Teddy. Again, that matters too.
this has so much John Elway saying Joe Flacco's in his prime energy to it.
Right. Yep.
And
Teddy's been better the last couple of years than Joe Flacco was for the 4 before he came here. He's
yeah, we'll see what happens.
objectively
I don't think
better.
You know what's weird is you have Carolina move on from Teddy for a guy that was just as bad as Drew.
Yeah.
They're gambling on
Does
upside.
Which is what the Broncos should be
But Matt
doing.
Rule isn't coaching for his job.
Yep, exactly. And
Right.
it's a bad thing about lame duck head coaches.
And you also wonder if Carolina isn't waiting out Deshaun Watson to see if those things get cleared up when they try to bring him back to the Carolinas.
Yeah, Miami will probably be in play too once Tua falls flat on his face.
He
had a bad day this
as
week.
hard as this
Yeah.
week.
We have 4 interceptions and 7 on 7.
I think it was 5.
It's 5. Don't worry, Patrick Mahomes had 4 interceptions in one practice,
Hey.
and that was at
That's
the same
that's
point.
different than 1 7 on 7 period.
That was
Does
at
Tua
the
have Mahomes' arm?
that was at the same point that
Case
was it?
hadn't thrown one.
Yep, all training camp.
Oh, yeah. And then he goes out in the regular season opener and can't throw down the seam to save his life.
I'll never forgive Case Keenum for making us look so dumb because he really was incredible in training camp.
It was. Yep.
The ball's not hitting the ground.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I remember he dropped one in like right over Chris Harris's head, and Chris was like, "Man, if he's throwing like this, we're gonna be real good." Narrator,
He wasn't
He did not throw like that. We got a super chat here. Let's get to that from Blake. Shout out to RK and Hank for letting me fan out and get some selfies at the DNVR bar a couple weeks ago. Y'all were awesome. Cheers from Texas. Cheers, Blake.
Nice.
Thanks for
Love
coming
it.
through. Anyone, honestly, if you come through and you come say hi, you want
Yeah.
to take pictures, you want to do whatever, like, hit us up.
Absolutely, yes. And man, yes, the bar is a different vibe than it was a couple weeks ago, man.
It's tough. It's tough.
And,
Mellow.
Yeah, it is quite mellow. But we've got some cool events that we're going to do throughout
Oh,
the
yes,
summer.
we
Give
do.
people an excuse to come on down here and hang out.
There is a team called the Rockies that are still playing.
They're awesome at
The
home.
who now?
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
little sweep over
Yes.
the Padres.
Yes.
How about
They've
that?
won 10 of their last 12 at Coors Field?
Yep.
Yep.
The problem is the road. But hey, they're not the Diamondbacks on the road.
Drew's advice to me was just only watch the home games, and it'll be a pretty fun fan
There we
experience.
go. There'll be a playoff team.
Yeah.
You're keeping your customers happy. That's the thing. If you're going to be bad, you'd rather be bad on the road than at home. At least give the people who are paying to watch you a good time.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Good for them.
We have some people in the comments asking how they can get you guys to answer their questions. Is it through the live stream or is it through another podcast? Do you want to explain that for
Yeah,
your
so we
viewers?
answer all of the questions on the podcast, half of the podcast. So we obviously start here, and then we also put this side on the podcast, and then we finish with the second half of the show just in podcast form. That's where we get to everyone's questions. The reason why we don't answer many in this first segment is because then we'd just be answering questions the whole time. So leave your comments in the podcast section of the website, and we will always get to them.
Yes, we will. Go to thednvr.com, click on podcasts at the top, scroll down, click on Broncos podcast, click on the first podcast that comes up, scroll to the bottom of that page, and a comment section will pop up.
But, if you ask a good enough question, we might get to it here.
Exactly.
Also, don't be mean. If you are being mean in the chat, I will put you in timeout or block you. Our chat is for everyone to enjoy, no one to feel like they have a stupid question. So please just be nice in the chat.
Don't piss off Allie. Trust me.
Hey.
All right. Let's get to our DK pick of the week. And then on the other side, I want to talk about some of the other position battles, some of the I want to see how your outlook has changed on this team over the last couple weeks.
I'm going for my DraftKings pick of the week. I'm going to the Milwaukee Bucks to win the series.
Whoa.
I'm going to be pulling for Shelby Harris. I know they blew it last game, but give me the Milwaukee Bucks plus 185 to win this whole thing.
Interesting.
Well, win the series against the Nets. Nets just, they have too much stuff going on.
I just feel like they're so talented.
They are.
They're so talented. All right, I'm taking the Tampa Bay Lightning to win tonight in 60 minutes.
Mace is a fan of
I
that.
hope you're right on that.
Yes, I bet you do.
You're betting against Semyon Varlamov, who's been pretty good this postseason.
Actually, I'm changing that up. I'm going to just take the money line. It's not that bad of a value change here.
What are we
I'll
talking?
take it's plus 122 on the 60-minute, minus 137 on the money line.
Yeah, I like it.
Give me the money line just in case they score a late one to send it to OT.
Interesting. I think it's. I like your boldness, Zach, going with the
Bucks.
Going with the Bucks in that series. I'm not sold on the Hawks, even though they had the comeback last night. 76ers, they're plus 130 to win the series. I'm going to take the Sixers.
Yikes. They're so choky.
Yes, that certainly last night.
I 2 games in a row they've choked.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Last night was just worse.
How much of the truth is Trae Young?
He's amazing.
Yeah.
You know-
Incredible 2 minutes.
I mean, just he's that quick guard that can shoot. There's, I think, about 3 of them.
Yep.
Trae, Dame, and Steph.
Yep.
Obviously, Steph is the best, then Dame, then Trae. But, like, when you have to guard a guy 35 feet away from the basket and he's also faster than your whole team, it just makes everything so difficult.
How do good college shooters fall in the draft? Like Steph and Trae.
Size.
Gosh, do we have to do this for every
I know,
sport?
yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Dame also was, I think,
Yeah.
4th or
Yeah.
6th
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah. Just pathetic.
Also, 2 of those 3 were small school guys.
Shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter.
I'm with you. I'm with you. But then you have your gymmers.
Right.
who,
Yes, you do.
You never made it. All right. What else do we have to talk about here?
We've got to tell you about Hassel Cattle Company. And guys, we have put our stamp on this damn good beef because we've brought it in to the DNVR bar. And I'll tell you what, I saw someone get just the patty at the bar a couple of weeks ago, and it looked so good. Just imagine putting that with some cheese and some toppings, just how good that is. And it truly is the best damn burger you can get. In fact, Shelby Harris gave it his stamp of approval last week, said it was incredible. And
One bite, and he said, "Oh my God, this is good."
Yes, and then he finished the whole thing because it was so good. Almost got a second, and it's that good. And you can even have it in your house. You can get it delivered straight to your door with Hassel Cattle Company at an affordable price too, because they call their beef the blue collar Wagyu because it's something that every person can afford. And guys, they've got a deal right now. Buy 3, get 1 free on their flank steaks. They do more than just patties. You get flank steaks. They have they have so many other things as well. I love the jerkies as well, guys. Extremely good quality jerky. And if you use the code DNVR Flank, DNVR FLANK, you get those 3, buy 3, get 1 free flank steaks over at Hassel Cattle Company. Use the code DNVR10 for 10% off. And of course, every order over $200 gets you free shipping. So lot to check out over at Hassel.
I made some Hassel cattle burgers myself the other night.
Better than the bar?
No, I mean, you can't beat Ricky, our cook down in the bar. But I will say I gave him a run for his money based on my toppings. I went, so first of all, you got to take out the thing that goes over the grill so, you can keep the fats up.
Okay.
I don't know what you call those. A grill mat, I guess is what it would be called. Threw them on there, threw some onions on there, and then once the beef starts to cook a little bit, you slide them over and then put the onions into the fat, grill them up on there. And then the trick to all great burgers, or brats in this case, as we learned a few years back, Hawaiian bun.
Yes. Oh man.
Are
You
they
put the Hawaiian
using
bun
Are they
on it.
using Hawaiian buns down here at the DNVR bar?
No, but they have like I don't know what you would call it. It's a sweeter bun.
Yeah.
Okay,
Similar idea.
Yes.
but it's not a King's Hawaiian.
No, it is not King's Hawaiian like our friends at the doghouse used to do.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that's amazing.
Yes, so Zach and I would go there and put about 6,000 calories down.
Gosh, so good. I'm dying now.
Yeah. But of course, Hassel Cattle, you can almost make it as good at home as you could here. And I already told you guys, I made the New York strip Best steak I've ever had in my life, regardless of where it was.
Incredible.
Yes.
Incredible.
Also got to tell you about our friends at Strava Craft Coffee. Another thing that we have here at the DNVR bar that you can come down and get anytime. We have the cold brew on tap, but you can get it in all sorts of different ways on their website, and you can get it sent straight to your door every 2, 3, 4, 6, or 8 weeks when you sign up for a Strava subscription. Use it once and get 25% off with the code DNVR. Then set up for your subscription, and you'll get 20% off every single time after that. Check out Strava Craft Coffee.
Also, check out DNVR. If you want to comment on our podcast, become a DNVR member, and that means you can go right into the comment section, share your thoughts. We'll get to as many of them as we can on a daily basis. If you're a member also, you can come on down to the DNVR bar and get a big beer for the price of a small beer to go along with that Hassel Cattle Company Wagyu beef burger. You're also gonna get access to our Discord, so you're gonna be able to chat about your favorite Denver sports teams without dealing with a lot of the crap on social media. Boy, I mean, I'm just seeing some of the responses to the take about, hey, it's not a bad thing that the Broncos are having a field day out there. You don't have to deal with stuff like that over in the Discord. You get extra raffle tickets for raffles here at the DNVR bar. If you're a member, you can join the DNVR Golf League. And, of course, you can read our content, read everything that Zach and I wrote from minicamp, as well as what we're going to be cooking up here over the course of the next few weeks. Zach and I are going to have our eyes forward to the 2021 season, tell you some things to look for in training camp and the regular season, what the Broncos need. I'm going to have a series of numbers the Broncos need to reach. If you want to check that out, become a DNVR member. You get a free DNVR t-shirt from the DNVR locker. If you become a member, you get discounts in the DNVR locker. So on t-shirts alone, the membership might pay for itself. So come on, join the family, be part of DNVR today.
Gary here with a great comment. Go Broncos, #1.
There we go.
Hey,
love it.
hey,
Number
there we
one. And shout out to Higher Learnings. We see it, and we love that you're leaving comments.
Love it. All right. I want to ask you guys a question.
He also said, by the way, he used to party with the grandson of the owner of King's Hawaiian Bread.
Wow.
How
How about that? I love that. That's a connection right
Some
there.
tasty parties, I'd say.
Honestly, no other roles should even exist.
No.
It should be a
It
monopoly.
should be that.
All right. I want to ask you guys this. Over the last, how many practices?
Five.
5 we've seen.
Your expectations for the Broncos went up, went down, or stayed the same?
They went up, and the reason for that is I've been impressed and liked what I've seen overall from the quarterback position and from the defense. This defense should be as good as it is on paper, guys. And I've just loved what I've seen from the secondary, loved what I've seen from Pat Surtain, and really liked what I've seen from Ronald Darby. I think he can be the true number 2 outside cornerback that the Broncos hoped when they got him. And we know if he stays healthy, I think he can be that. And we know that Bryce Callahan can be that. If he stays healthy in the slot, he can be that guy. And then Fuller should be good. But if he's not, you have Pat Surtain right there. This defense should be really good. And the big reason why is this Broncos need average quarterback play. And I think they can get that. Whether it's from Teddy, because I've seen enough from him to say that he can be average, or if Drew is better than Teddy, then it means you're at least going to have that average quarterback play because it means he's better than the average Teddy. So I do think that this team can do better than I originally thought. I think this team should be pushing for the playoffs in late December.
Maybe I was just more optimistic coming in, but nothing changed for me as far as my expectations. I thought they were a fringe wild card team if they got lower mid-tier quarterback play going in. I still feel that way. Part of it is I thought Jerry Jeudy would look really good coming out there. He did. No surprise that he's built off of last season. He's learned from his mistakes. If there is kind of a pleasant surprise for me, it is that he and Teddy Bridgewater have gotten on the same page so quickly. They don't look like they've only been working together for 3.5 weeks. But then kind of the balance of that is right tackle, Bobby Massey's been hurt. Cameron Fleming had really some rough moments. Malik Reed was lighting Cameron Fleming up yesterday at right tackle. So that remains a concern. And even though it's off-season, you do see quite a few talented players over there on the side field working out. So that's a concern too, including Bradley Chubb.
Bradley Chubb and KJ Hamler, two most notable ones. And Bobby Massey's not even out there.
Which is, I think that's interesting because I think you were a little more optimistic on the team coming in. You were a little lower. Now maybe it's even down.
Now we're at the
Exactly.
same level now. Zach is just, I can't believe I'm the optimistic one. Zach has just kind of met me at my level.
Now I'm the optimistic one.
I guess that leaves me as the pessimist.
Where are you?
I'm in very much I need to see something mode. Like maybe it's like some scorned lover syndrome, but I have to see it before I believe it.
That's fair.
Every single year we come in and we talk ourselves into this, that, and the other thing, and then it hits the field, and whether it's injuries like last year or something else, something goes wrong. It starts to spiral out of control, and then the season's gone. I need to see Vic Fangio coach better in early season situations, which has not happened. I need to see one of these quarterbacks actually take the job. I don't want the job to be given to anyone. I want the job to be taken. I need to see a lot. I need to see
A lock?
I don't care who it is. I just want someone to take the job. I need to see Bryce Callahan stay healthy. Like, you just go down the list and it's like, I got to see it before I believe it.
That is fair. And now with Callahan staying healthy, I think you accept he's going to miss some time, but that's why it's so good that you have Surtain in there, because if Callahan misses his usual games, then you're not worried when you've got Fuller, Darby, Surtain as your three corners. And then you hope that Michael Ojemudia has stepped forward to be the fourth cornerback in there. The other thing is, you mentioned Vic Fangio's slow starts. Well, this is the schedule that should allow him to get a fast start. And not just for him, but for the team as a whole, to get confidence early, get some wins in the bank.
Yeah.
If they start 3-0, and I think that is a legitimate possibility, this team might be right around 500 the rest of the way. They could be 3-0, and they're 7-7 the rest of the way. 10-7 is probably getting them in the playoffs, and the confidence they build could allow them to steal a win or two somewhere in the middle of the schedule that they wouldn't otherwise have gotten. And I think that will, at minimum, keep hope alive a lot longer in Broncos country, rather than this deflating feeling of basically being out of the mix right there in September that they've experienced the last 2 years.
I want to see them win week one. Like, get the season off on a good start. Give people something to believe in. Hasn't happened. I need to see Von Miller look like Von Miller. There's just so many things where I'm like, if even 80% of these things happen, this team should compete for the playoffs.
So 0-17 is what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. I want to see.
Pat Bowlen would never have said that.
I want to see this team prove it to me before they get my stamp of approval.
Of course, the downside of that is, what if they lose that week one game to the Giants? The Giants, in a lot of ways, the NFC version of the Broncos. They're getting guys back from injury. They've got if it's Drew Lock for the Broncos, a young quarterback who's trying to find his footing. Yeah, if they lose that week one game, oh boy.
I mean, we look at
Pitchforks
how
and torches.
easy this schedule should be.
Yeah.
But look at it on the opposite side.
I
If they
know.
come out and go 0-3 against arguably three of the worst teams in football. Now, I know there's been a lot of change to a lot of those teams, but
Someone's getting fired.
Oh my goodness.
If they're 0-3, somebody's getting fired on the staff.
As they should.
I
Don't
think
know
a
who
lot
it
of
is,
people
but
are going to be gone. Yeah.
And so I want to believe. Every year I do, you guys know, but I got to see it. I really do. And this, like, to make a field day reference, tug of war between Teddy and Drew, which is just like, I'm a little bit worse. No, you're a little bit worse. No, I'm a little bit worse. Like, it's not going to cut it for me. So I want to see someone step up and take this job, and then I'll start talking about the playoffs.
And then you feel good about it. And I agree, because if someone steps up and takes the job, that'll be a true guy that everyone can get behind. And then you'll feel, okay, it can at least be average. That's for the fifth year in a row we're saying all this team needs is average at quarterback, and they haven't been able to get that.
Okay, quickly, let's go just through the other remaining position battles, and I just want to see where things stand there. I want to start, I guess, at running back.
I think it's Melvin. He's leading the way right now, but what's really interesting is Mike Boone is going to be part of this rotation. It's not going to be like Devontae Booker a couple of years ago where Booker got 2 carries for the whole season.
Freeman.
Right. He's going to be part of this. And a very impressive thing, which has jumped out to me because I expected him to just be a special teams guy, when he's on the field, you can't tell if it's Javonte Williams, Mike Boone, or Melvin Gordon. That shows how impressive he's been. So it's going to be a 3-headed backfield.
Both he and Javonte Williams look really good hitting the hole. Like it flashes open, they make that one
flashes,
cut, and then Flash Gordon, and then they accelerate quickly. It's exactly what you want to see out of it. They get to 5th gear in a hurry, and you could see that from Mike Boone on the film from him as well. When he gets a hole and he gets into space, he's able to have an explosive run. That's why he was averaging north of 5 yards a carry.
I really think this is setting up to where the Broncos don't have to make any move at running back next year. If it goes how they plan, it's going to be Javonte, the number 1, and they already have their number 2 with Mike Boone.
And then you draft a guy on day 3 to fill out the depth chart.
Mike Boone, I like Mike Boone. He excites me.
Yeah.
Denver Boone, right?
Yeah, there you go.
They thought they got rid of Denver Boone. Who knew?
All right, right tackle. Where do we stand there, Mace?
Well, we didn't see much of Massey dealing with injury. Cameron Fleming out there. Quinn Bailey actually got some first-team reps as well.
Not good
over
news.
the course of OTs. Isn't Quinn isn't that your favorite band? Zach Quinn.
Oh, Quinn 92, yeah.
Quinn 92.
Quinn 73, is that the number he wears?
Yeah. No, it's Quinn 75.
Hey.
He didn't look great. And then Cameron Fleming, I mentioned earlier, struggled when we saw him out there against Malik Reed yesterday. So I'm still concerned about right tackle, although I would say from what I have seen from Fleming and Bailey, Massey, if he gets healthy, he's the guy.
You need to start see him amassing
Yes.
plays on the field, though.
Yes.
Exactly. And he gets back, I think he'll do fine. He doesn't take a lot of holding penalties over the years. He's not gonna beat you, not gonna beat himself, not gonna beat his team. So
It's the biggest concern on the team by a mile because if Bobby Massey's out there, you feel comfortable.
bigger than quarterback?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Okay.
Because I think Teddy Bridgewater, it worst is the 20th
Right, as
worst
your
quarterback.
emergency parachute.
And I think this right tackle position could be the worst in the NFL if it doesn't unfold right. Because when Bobby Massey's out there, I feel comfortable. But guys, the past 2 years, he's been out there half the time. So what do you have behind him? Like you said, we haven't seen anything from really anyone. Calvin Anderson's probably the number 2 right now, and he's off to the side, not working out this week. So that really scares me, guys. And also, it goes down to the saying, if they say if you have 2 players at a position, you don't have 1. What happens when you have 4 players at the position? That means you have -2.
I like it. I like
It's a
that
hell of
math.
an equation.
All right. What else are we looking at here?
Punter, baby.
Oh,
Punter.
A true competition,
Yeah.
as Tom McMahon
Tom
said.
McMahon
at punter.
sets competition now.
That's another thing I need
Yeah.
to see before I believe in this team. Competent special teams.
Yeah,
He
that's
he
fair.
did say Max Duffy, the undrafted rookie out of Kentucky, who clearly he loves, needs to become more consistent. But Duffy's he's shown an aptitude for placement punting, specifically to the right. He's kind of doing the things that Tom McMahon wants him to do. The thing is, Sam Martin is more consistent right now. Is it possible, guys, that they carry Max Duffy as a practice squad punter? Bigger practice squads look like they're in play again this year. A practice squad punter with the intention of handing him the chores when Sam Martin's contract expires. I think that's definitely in play.
And save him $2.5 million this year if
that
they
wouldn't
were
s-
to move on
Yeah.
from Sam this
and
year.
that's the other interesting thing. It's $2.5 million of Martin's contract. Now, if you put Duffy's contract in for Martin's contract, the net is about $1.7 million. But still, depending on other factors that come in, if you have to take on a certain big money contract from a quarterback, you are looking for change in the couch cushions. So
You don't
to
need a
speak.
punter if you have Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
And Duffy, Ray Guy Award winner a couple of years back. Martin is a solid punter, but with Duffy, you see the flashes are this guy could be Pro Bowler and All Pro.
Would you rather have Max Duffy or a Duffy roll?
I go for Duffy
Yeah,
Roll
right now I would too.
right now, but I think you've happened upon a potential endorsement possibility for Max Duffy if he ends up sticking.
In Madden,
Sticking because Duffy rolls are sticky.
I might
in
have to go
Madden,
get
I
one
just
now.
cut my punter, and I was just like, I don't need a punter. I only punted 2 times all of last season.
Oh my God, that is disgraceful.
But then the game refused to allow me to just have my kicker play both positions, so it just signed like a 60 overall punter for me.
man.
Tom McMahon
His name's Dom Maggio.
Oh, that's
Okay.
great. He's
Now,
making
Tom
good
McMahon
Duffy rolls.
did note on Duffy that he is practicing holding as well, and we saw him hold for Brandon McManus all day, I believe, on Tuesday.
I was really tempted to make a Garrett Bowles joke there, but I can't do that anymore. I was going to say, I know someone who can help him with that.
Oh, come on.
I can't do those are off limits now. All right. Corner, is that what you pointed to?
Yeah, corner, because we saw this week when everyone's healthy and out there, Pat Surtain is the one that's on the sideline when they're only going 3 corners.
That doesn't surprise you, though, does it? At
No,
this juncture?
it doesn't. But what does still beg the question is, who's it going to be? It's not going to be Bryce, right? He's your star slot guy. Darby's playing really good, guys. He's playing better than Kyle Fuller. You going to bench Kyle Fuller?
I mean, after that interview the other day, I'm fine with
Man,
You don't have to be a good quote to be a good corner,
that. I
though.
know.
He's going to let his play do the talking.
Goodness. But is
yeah.
his play going to be 2018? Because if it's 2018 Kyle Fuller, obviously he's not coming off the field. He'll be the Broncos' best cornerback. If it's last year's Kyle Fuller, he may be the weakest link of those 3.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, the way that Pat Surtain moves out there is mystifying.
It is.
He's so smooth. He's so fluid. He's so natural.
He's good. He's not getting fooled by anything either.
And watching him against Judy, you think like the play that Teddy hit Judy on yesterday, Surtain didn't really do anything wrong on that play.
No.
Yep.
He got beat twice by Jerry Jeudy, and he was in the right spot both times.
Right. That says
That's going to happen. Good
gonna
offense
happen.
beats good defense sometimes.
but it says a lot like about about both Judy and Surtain that they can do everything right going against each other. Now, obviously, they know each other well, and then I'd even say kind of a tip of the cap to Teddy, because to make that play work, you've got to get the ball into a precise spot. You got to drop it in there, and he did that.
Yep.
So
All right.
good for all of them.
Any other ones that we need to touch on?
Just a shout out to our quarterback, Kendall Hinton.
Yes. Kendall Hinton, the darling
Yes.
of minicamp. You've heard of training camp darlings? What about minicamp darlings?
Yes. He has a chance to become the training camp darling.
Yeah.
The Jordan Taylor.
I love Kendall Hinton, so I'm all in on
So does he have a great nickname though? Like Taylor had Sunshine.
that. Swiss Army knife.
Oh, okay.
I love it. Yeah.
What do you
Swiss
call-
Hinton.
do you call him knife or Swiss?
Well, Swiss implies like you might have holes in you.
Exactly. I think you got to go.
Oh,
knife.
what if he's finding the holes in the defense? In the
That's
Maybe
true.
coverage?
knife, blade. Now that was, and that has a little Bronco history because that was a nickname for Steve Watson back in the day. Was Blade.
Blade is actually
Blade.
pretty,
Yeah,
pretty
that's
good.
good.
Blade Hinton. I like it. I'm in on it. I think we just made that a thing.
Yeah, we're hinting at something.
Yes, nice. All right. We are also hinting that is going to wrap it up for us. No better time to drop the mic than now. We will finish up on the podcast side of things here in a few minutes, and you'll be able to find that anywhere you listen to podcasts. And like we said earlier, if you want your questions answered, leave them on our website in the podcast section under Broncos Podcast. Just comment on the most recent podcast, and we will get to your questions. But for everyone who tuned into this live portion, this was fun, and we'll talk to you soon.